Hey everyone, welcome back. For today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to do this Uzumaki makeup. This makeup look is pretty easy and you don't need any makeup or prosthetic making experience. I'm going to start off making the spiral piece that's on her face. For this, I'm using some modeling clay. I'm going with a more budget friendly route, so I got this at Dollar Tree and I just used the darkest colors. I did have to use, I think, 2.5 of these modeling clay sticks. I used a black and a blue, and I think one more color. And I'm basically flattening it. I'm using a makeup brush. I just grabbed the closest thing I had to me to make a flat circle. And then I'm just cutting off some of the excess. I'm going to measure this up against my face, make sure it's a good enough size. And it wasn't, so I did add on more clay and just flattened it some more. Also, because I'm using clay, I don't want this piece to be super heavy, so I am making sure I thin it out, but that it's not too thin where it's fragile. Also, you don't have to use clay for this. I just wanted to make sure I used something that was sturdy enough where I can take it off and store it for future use. You can definitely use something like a piece of cardboard or construction paper. Also, if your clay or whatever you're using for this piece is black, then you don't even have to paint it. I did use 2 coats of this black acrylic paint, and now I'm going in with white and we're going to make the spirals. So I did already have acrylic paint in my house. However, you can get paint at Dollar Tree. You can get paintbrushes at Dollar Tree. You can get clay, poster board, cardboard. There's so many different things that you can get at Dollar Tree to make your costume if you're making Uzumaki or just in general. I am always looking for budget friendly, especially because most of the time we wear our costumes one day and then usually throw it out or you store it. So I'm always going for a more budget friendly option. Most of these items you can get at Dollar Tree. So as you can see, I have a white dot there and that is where the eye is going to be. I suggest holding the circle piece up to your face where you're going to place it and then marking where you're going to put the eye. Then you're going to start creating the rounded lines to create a spiral effect. So the spirals start near her eye and they start off smaller, and then you are just going to continue to make those curved lines until you have lines on the entire piece. The great thing about this is that it doesn't have to be perfect. I am going to go back in and draw in some more details, but for now, while that white paint is drying up some, I'm going to get started on the eye. I'm using more of that Dollar Tree clay, and as you can see, it is brown, so I am going to have to paint it. So after I got the shape down, I'm going to paint it. I did use 2 layers of this white acrylic paint. Also, to stick the eye to the piece of clay, I used liquid latex. Depending on what you're using as a base, you can stick your eye on using some type of glue. I know Dollar Tree has several different glues like wood glue. They also have glue guns, which is another option. You can even make your eyeball out of a glue gun as well if you're comfortable using a glue gun, but just find whatever works for you to stick the eye on. Also, because the eye is made out of clay, this one is going to be a little heavier. If you find something that's a lighter material, even better. After you got the black part of the eye, you're going to go in with some white paint and just create little white specks and lines inside the black part. Also, I made a dot in the center using the black acrylic paint. use your photo as a reference to get all of these little details. It's better for you to look at it than me to explain what I'm doing as far as the details are. Once you see the photo, then you will understand, but definitely keep a photo reference right near you. I had one next to me the entire time. I wanted to try to get as much details as possible. So here I'm drawing some little lines that I'm assuming are like eye veins, but because Uzumaki is in black and white, everything is going to be black and white. So after I did those little lines, I am going to go in some more with the black to make some squiggly lines throughout and just add some more detail to the lines. I did some of the squiggly lines already, and I'm going in with the white and just randomly applying some white to the black areas, and you can apply squiggly black lines to the white lines. Again, just check out that reference photo so you can look at the little details. And after you're done and it's to your liking, you're just gonna let that dry. So I did leave the piece alone for a couple of days, and then when I wasn't so busy, I was able to sit down and get started with the makeup. I did glue my eyebrows down a little bit and apply just a tad of concealer, and now I'm going in with some white face paint. This paint is from a company, I don't know how you say their name, I think it's Meron, I don't know. The crazy part is I've used a bunch of their products. I still don't know how to pronounce it. I will leave the links in the description box. But I've used this company's products a lot of times, and I've been pretty pleased with their products. They're a very popular brand when it comes to special effects makeup and just like face paints, body paints and such. But this particular paint I really wasn't a fan of. I did apply a thin layer of the white and let it dry, and then went over it with a thicker layer. And I use a flat synthetic brush for best results, at least with this paint. It dries really fast, and I was just trying to get a smooth and even application, but it was pretty hard. It's also not waterproof, so I had to be very careful with applying it. The first time I did, I had to wipe it completely off because it was getting splotchy because one of my beauty blenders was a little bit damp. So after I finally got that paint on, I'm going in with some black shadow and just creating some details around the nose area. I also applied some of that shadow underneath one of my eyes. I just wanted to test it out just to make sure that I was able to apply my shadow over this paint. Again, first time I'm using this specific paint, so I didn't want to have to wipe it off again. Now I'm going to apply some black shadow underneath my chin, around my jawline. Uzumaki has a pretty slim face, so I have a defined jawline. I do end up bringing that black up a little bit more because, as you can see, my jawline is still a little bit defined, so I do end up bringing it up more a little later on, just so my face could look a little bit more slim. I did bring that black shadow to just basically down out where I wanted the black shadow at, and then I am going to go in with some black face paint from the same brand, and the black paint actually was way better than the white, but I am going to apply that over the black shadow that I'm drawing on right now. And I think I applied 2 layers of the black paint to be specific. Now I'm going to paint my lips black. I actually don't have black lipstick, so I'm using this black pencil liner to fill in my lips. After that, I'm going to take a black liquid liner and make some little lines at the bottom of my lip, and also some lines all across my jawline. So these lines are just going vertical, and then you can randomly put some going horizontal. I'm going to take that black liquid liner and create a couple of lines going around my nostril. Also, if you didn't notice, my forehead has a thinner layer of that white face paint. I only did 1 layer because my forehead is pretty much going to be covered with the eyepiece and also the bangs. So now I'm going to apply a second layer of that white paint to my neck. And the way I'm doing this makeup is I'm doing one area and then moving on to a different area. I'm allowing the previous area I did to dry. So with my nose, I used the liquid liner for the shadow detail. I want to let that dry before I go back in and do anything else to it. I don't want anything to smudge. I don't want the black and white makeup to mesh. I'm using liquid and powder products, so you just never know how it's going to turn out when you're mixing certain products. This is the first time I've actually done this makeup, so I just wanted to be careful, making sure an area dries, and then I will go back in and do more detail. Now I'm taking some black eyeshadow and applying some underneath my eye. I did apply some above my eyelid. You'll notice that I don't put some black shadow on top of my lid. You're going to leave that area white. So looking at the photo that I'm using as a reference, her eye looks sort of like a cut crease. Like her actual eyelid is white and then there's a black shadow above it, almost looking like a cut crease. So that is kind of what you want to go for. Also bringing that black liner towards your nose a little bit and down. And I'm just cleaning up some of that black shadow because I feel like I went a little bit too high. I just cleaned it up with some white paint. Now I'm taking a liquid liner. You're going to make some vertical lines all across the top of that shadow. I want this to be darker, so I'm taking some of that black face paint and just going over all of the black areas. She has a little bit of a white area underneath her eye, almost like highlight. So I'm applying some white paint there. Now I'm taking some liquid liner and I'm creating some vertical lines going all across that white area. It almost looks like lashes. So I'm just trying to do as much detail as possible. You really don't have to do all of this. If we're being honest, you can just opt for some black shadow underneath your eye, but I do think just these little details make a difference. And like I stated before, it looks like she has a cut crease, so I'm going in with some white concealer onto my eyelid, basically on the area that I didn't apply the black shadow to. Now I'm going to take that liquid liner and create horizontal lines going across on that shadow part on my neck. And I'm going to bring those lines even further down from where the black shadow is at. These lines don't have to be perfect, and if your liner skips like mine was skipping a little bit, that's perfectly fine. It actually will add to the look. I also applied a little bit more of that black paint to the shadow area to darken it up a little bit more. I'm going to do a couple of more details before I apply the wig, but for right now I'm just getting my hair ready, slicking it back into a low bun, and applying a wig cap. Now we're going to create a highlight on the lip. I'm using a white concealer, so I just applied that white concealer to an area on my lip, and then I'm going to take some liquid liner and create some lines going down that white concealer. I also applied some mascara, and now it's time for the wig. My wig definitely needed some maintenance, so that is what I'm going to do. Obviously, if you just purchase your wig, you can just throw it on. I have to do a little bit of styling and cutting. This was actually a really long wig that I used for a few Halloweens, and I had just cut it before I applied my makeup, but I had terrible scissors, and then I had to wait for my clippers to charge because I prefer to use clippers to cut a bob hairstyle. So that's why I'm cutting it and doing all of this after I applied my makeup. I'm using a flat iron just to kind of straighten it out. I applied some gel to slick it down a little bit more. After your wig is on, you're going to take some white makeup. I'm using the white face paint that I have to create some highlights on her hair. I'm using a flat shadow brush and I'm just marking where I want it, and then I'm taking the brush and just kind of going up and down vertically to create that highlight. Also, this does not have to be perfect either. Now it's time to apply the piece. I have not stuck it onto my face yet. I'm just holding it up and with some eyeshadow, creating a shadow underneath the eye. Now to stick the actual piece on, I did apply liquid latex to my forehead and to the piece. I brushed my bangs off to the side so that the spiral piece is not sticking to the bang itself. It's sticking to my actual forehead. I applied some liquid latex, let it dry a little bit, and it stuck perfectly fine. So I did have the piece on for a few hours. I was just like around my house. I was also taking photos and videos, and I didn't have any issues with it falling off. However, if you're going to wear this out, I suggest you apply this piece a different way, possibly with a string, like you can make a hole on each side of the piece and then wrap the string around your head and conceal the string with the wig. I think that will work really well. Also, I think using a string to hold it up is a good way to take a break from it if you want to take it off at some point, because also remember you're going to be walking around only being able to look at things from one eye. So if you're going to be wearing this look out for an extended period of time, just keep that in mind. So we are pretty much done with everything. I'm going to change my top. I'm just doing some finishing touches, and this is the final look. As far as what outfit you should wear, I just say go with black or white, and you can just put on whatever is comfortable for you because the makeup alone is pretty cool. I did notice in a couple of photos Uzumaki has a white top, so I opted to wear that, and I think I like how it looks better than a black top. But that's all for today's video. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll leave all of the info in the description box below, and see you in the next video.